today this video is especially to encourage those of you with small children, because that can be a difficult season in life, but I know not all of you are mums who would like to be, and I definitely don't want to add to the pain of that. But also I think even if we're not mums of little children, most of us are involved with children in some way. So even if you don't have little kids yourself right now, it still might encourage you in some way. So the reason for this video, last night I was going through my computer and I was decluttering some of the stuff on there, because I don't declutter stuff very often. There's way too much stuff on there, but I ended up getting sidetracked and watching videos of when our kids were little, or a few years back. And you tend to forget, like the cuteness and the way that they used to be. So it reminded me how important it is to cherish the moment. Like one day it will be just a moment. Like now when I look back, that time is gone now. But when you're in the middle of it, it can seem, that it will never end, or it can be difficult. So it's important to remember to cherish the moment. It is just a moment, and one day it will just be a memory. So usually when I make a vlog, I just share some videos or photos from the week, but some of these videos were really cute, so I thought this time I would share some old videos just as a kind of look back. So I hope you enjoy them. So this year I started helping at a preschool. So my children all went to this preschool at our school. It's just one morning a week on Wednesday mornings, and it's kind of to prepare them for going to school. But it's a Christian one too, so they have Bible stories and things like that as well. So anyway, the person who, first I just started helping somebody else with doing it because they needed a helper, but then the person who was in charge couldn't do it anymore, or at least for a while, and so I offered to do it. So for me that has been a new challenge this year. So I've been learning to make activities and do all that kind of stuff. But anyway, the very first morning that I started helping, I was reading my children a Bible story, as I usually do at breakfast time, and the story that we were up to in the Bible story book was of Jesus blessing the children. Now that was the best story I could have read on that very first morning, but the way that the Bible story book told the story was quite neat, and the way they told it, they said that the disciples were very surprised that Jesus thought the children were so important, because they didn't expect him to. They more expected him to think that, like the religious leaders and, those important people were important, but Jesus valued the little children and thought it was very important to bless them. So for me that was an encouragement to remember that it is very important to take care of little children and to look after them. It doesn't always feel that way. We can feel like we're not really doing anything worthwhile, but we are. And one time I was at a rest home with my family and with my parents, and I don't remember what my dad was talking about, but I do remember that I do remember him saying that Jesus had time for children. Like in the world today, we don't have much time for children. Not everybody even wants children or likes children, but Jesus had time for children. He took time apart from his busy day to bless the children. And so if we are like Jesus, then we will have time and value the little children. And last night I was reading a new book that I got, and one sentence really struck me. So I'm going to read it, but I'm just going to read the phrase before and after so it makes more sense. So it says, God wants to bring us to the place where what he tells us to do is not nearly as important as who he is that gives the order. So it's not about what God tells us to do, it's about who it is that is telling us to do something. When we put the emphasis on the what and not the who, we have things in the wrong perspective. Now this is the sentence. When Jesus was on earth, he never placed any more importance on raising the dead than on blessing a child. It goes on to say, the important thing to him was that the Father had given an order, and it was the Son's delight to carry it out. Many times God tests us by telling us to do things without our having the faintest idea why we're to do them. We don't need to understand why. We need to understand who he is, who is speaking. He, God, in his infinite knowledge and wisdom, knows why. That's good enough reason for us, with our finite knowledge and wisdom, to obey. So it's about who is telling us to do something, not about the what we're told to do. But yeah, Jesus never placed any more importance on raising the dead than on blessing a child. To him, they were equally important. So it's good for us to remember that too. And also, a while ago I heard a question, and that was, how do you keep from being, kind of feeling depressed when you're a busy mum with little kids and you're kind of doing the same things over and over, changing nappies, feeding children, looking after them, especially if you're used to doing other things before you had little kids. It can very easily feel depressing, or feeling like you're not doing anything worthwhile and you're just trying to keep up. So yeah, that is a very good question, because it is very easy to feel like that when you're in that season of busyness with little kids. And I do think one way that you can kind of fight those feelings is to find things that you can do with little kids. So there may be things you can't do anymore, but there can be other things that you can do. You might have to find new things that you can do. So when I went through all that as well, I found it difficult. I kind of had to give up a lot of things that I used to do, but that's when I started to write. And so my blogs and my books all came from being at home with little kids and finding something that I could do with them, something that I could do at home. So I think that's one way. Also, another way is to find things to read or watch that are an encouragement as a mum. I used to have some Above Ruby devotionals, and they were encouraging because they were specifically for mums. Finding anything to read that is an encouragement that can be helpful too. And another way is just to prioritize your time with God. I know that when you have little kids, it can be very difficult to have quiet time, to have uninterrupted time. But it's still important to make the effort to kind of feed your relationship with God, even if you don't have quiet time, but to make it a priority, and to pray regularly. Pray to God, tell him all your troubles, ask him for guidance and help, and to read the Bible, even if you're just reading one verse or putting it where you can see it. That our relationship with God is so important, because then he will help us through with all those feelings and with everything that we have to do. But I hope this video gives encouragement for those of you who may be feeling like that, maybe feeling a little bit depressed with just trying to keep up with everything, and maybe feeling like you're not doing everything that you would like to be doing. A verse that I wrote down on my kind of to-do list for today is, one thing is needful. I get overwhelmed very easily, and this verse kind of keeps coming back to me, that there's one thing that is really important, and that is my relationship with God. It's what Jesus said to Martha when Martha was stressed out and trying to keep up with everything, while Mary was sitting at Jesus' feet. And there is so much to keep up with, especially when we have little ones. It's always good to come back to that verse and remember that there's one thing that is most important, and that is our relationship with God. And when we make that our top priority, then God will help us with all the difficulties and all the things that we struggle with. The Bible says to seek first the kingdom of God, and recently I heard it explained as seek first your relationship with the King, and all these things will be added unto you. So taking time for our relationship with God is like turning the light on in the dark. Sometimes we feel we don't have time to have any time with God, or don't have time, and yet that really is as unreasonable as getting up in the dark and saying, I don't have time to turn on the light. When you turn on the light, you see everything so much better. And when we take time to sit at Jesus' feet, to learn from him, to talk to him, to ask for his wisdom and guidance, then it's like he turns the light on and helps us and shows us what to do. Another thing, if I would go back and do it all again, there is one thing that I would do differently, and that is to not keep so much stuff. When I look back at the videos, our house seems so full. We have so many toys, so much of everything. And it's good to remember that you don't have to keep everything that people give you. It's nice to get gifts, but sometimes they can become a bit of a burden because you might just have too much. And so there's nothing wrong with passing along what you don't need anymore or what you don't use. I find it really hard to get rid of things that people gave me because I feel bad doing that. But when people give something to you, it is yours, and you can do what you want with it. You can pass it along if it's not helpful anymore. Children don't need much. They don't need many toys. I think toys are overrated. They can be special the first day and then they don't care about them anymore. So I think it's better to keep it to a minimum, and then you spend less time trying to clean up and trying to keep control of all the mess. So that's one thing that I would do differently if I went back into the doll again.
What are you doing?
Lydia, are you cute?